Welcome to the Making Money in the Music Business podcast, where we share insightful views on a variety of topics in the music industry that can help you make more money from your music business. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. William E. Smith and Kenya McGuire Johnson.
Hey, Kenya.
William.
We're back.
We're back again. I'm getting used to this YouTube live. Those of you who are listening to us just by audio, remember to go to our YouTube page, which the link will be in the show notes. Make sure you are watching us now. You can see our lovely morning faces.
Well, yeah, I mean, looking at Kenya is better than looking at me. So
no.
Y'all be all right. But it's good to see everybody.
Yeah, it's good. This has been fun. We've been getting really great feedback. I actually had a fellow artist reach out and say that he really enjoyed our interview with Todd Moultrie from Jazz Groupies. And so, yeah, this has been fun. So definitely make sure you're subscribing. We're just starting our little baby YouTube channel. So, when it says that little 2 or little 1 on the subscribers, y'all, it'd be good just to see 10, first. So just make sure you don't just watch, subscribe, so that as soon as this is released, you'll get the notifications and, when we add other goodies. Yep. So, All right. And those who are listening, thank you. Keep listening. And, if you haven't subscribed on any of the audio podcast platforms, you need to subscribe and download us as we continue to grow.
Yep. And we are growing because we've been having a lot of good interviews and people reaching out. So yes, keep tuned. Yeah.
All right. We have a really special guest who's actually, this is a follow-up episode. We're going to occasionally do follow-up. I'm in the mix of scheduling another follow-up right now that I'm excited to do. I can't announce yet because it is not confirmed, but before we bring her on, Dr. Smith, what is our music tip of the week? Our
music tip for the week is, and I was actually searching for an app. I know some of y'all have watched on YouTube. You've watched a lot of lessons and piano lessons and people showing you how to play chords and all these things. But I was trying to look for something in that vein because I have someone I'm teaching some lessons to. And I found a really great app. It's only $25 and it's called Chordie app. CHORDIE, Chordie, and then app, APP. And it's real simple. It's, plug and play. The only one short little drawback, you have to have some software that produces sound. So you have to link it, sort of, do a MIDI little sync hookup and create the sound. So, but if you're just trying to look at a chord and see how to spell a chord on the piano, on the sheet music, and on guitar, you can play the chord in the Chordie app, and it will give you all the notes, lay it out, and it looks pretty. It looks a nice and great presentation. So it helps you to study playing chords, but also if you're doing instruction, you can actually use it to show folks. So. Yeah.
Can you use it for it's not, there's another different kind of app when you're charting and you can just put in something and it charts it all out.
Well, if you're trying to chart music, there's a bunch of other apps that could do that. There's one that's free that I had my students use. So I'll use that as another music tip.
Okay, we'll wait. Because this is a good season for the side hustle to be a person who will go and chart you can be the contact to chart people's music for them.
There you go.
Hello. Yes. Yep. I paid people to do that. I'm not going to do that no more. I'm going to learn how to do it myself.
I know that's right.
But all right. Chordie app. I wrote that down. We'll include that in the show notes. Cool. Awesome. I like it. All right. Well, I'm super excited to, as I said, this is a follow-up interview. And we had this guest, I have to, in the show notes again, I have to put the number of the episode where she was first with us. But this is a soul jazz artist who is definitely on the rise. And I like bringing, I like the idea of us bringing back indie artists who are still, you know, on the rise and grinding, especially during this time, to inspire people. Because I was just having a conversation with a fellow artist yesterday, and we were saying how so many people we feel like are just kind of dropping off and like, oh, well, no more music, you know, in my life. And I think it's important that we share more stories of artists who are still doing things. It's important for us to continue this podcast so that people understand that while there is a heavy pause going on right now, and it definitely, we're all feeling the weight of it, you can still thrive. You can still, and if not thrive, you know, at least sit in the stillness of it and not just drop off. So
Exactly.
yeah. So I'm welcoming back Miss Tracye Eileen. Tracye.
Hey, Tracye.
Hi, Kenya. Hi, Will.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We're good. It's so good to see you, literally. And last time when we interviewed you, we just heard you, but now we get to see you.
Hey.
And yes, this is another plug to get everybody on the YouTube channel. Tracye is beautiful. So come on, guys, make sure you subscribe. Just search 3MB podcast and we'll pop up. But Tracye, thank you for coming. You know, I do want those people, it's going to be great for people to listen to your first episode so that they can kind of really have a better idea of your full background. But just real quickly, if you could just share, again, you know, who you are as an artist, and, you know, then we'll kind of dig a little bit more into what have you been doing since the last time we spoke. So,
okay. Yeah. I'm a smooth jazz, soul, R&B artist. And an interesting fact is I released my third most commercial release during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I kind of freaked out because my first single from it was supposed to be released, was released in April 1st. It was supposed to be released a little sooner. And I freaked out a bit and held off. And then my PR person was like, no, this can be good, really. And I did. And it actually did do well. So, and we could talk about that later. I know you have some questions for me.
Yeah.
But I'm a recording artist, performing artist, client of yours, Kenya, is my coach.
Yes. Yeah.
And, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I'm going to let Will get in here. I do want you to also say, you know, because I think this is also really important, is that you have a day gig.
I have a day gig, girl. I'm so happy I have a day job. And you know, and Kenya knows that I've been wanting to quit my job at least for the last 5 years. So I just want to quit. I just want to do my music. And I was right on the verge, and COVID hit. So thank God, you know. So, I do have a day job. So I work all the time now.
Yeah. Awesome.
I was always working all the time.
She's a hustler. We'll get more into that, but I'll let Will chime in.
Well, just because we had a really great interview last time, but I wanted to dive into our current situation. And when COVID hit, and like you said, you had a project that you were getting ready to release, and COVID hit, and then just like put the brakes on a lot of things. Talk about that moment where you're making your shift, and then you're actually trying to set up plans, because a lot of people, when they get stuck like a deer in headlights with a situation, it's hard for them to sort of refocus. And since you've talked about this has actually been a great period for you, talk about what it was, I guess, that mental shift that made you refocus, and then how'd you go about it? What were some of the steps that you did? Did you make lists? You know, did you sort of plan out your Excel spreadsheet together and all that? So go give some detail on that.
Okay. So I mentioned I was doing my first big commercial release plan for 2020. It was supposed to be at the end of March. And then COVID hit. We had a shutdown. I had made a huge investment in the entire EP, the promotion of it. So I had a team, I had a PR guy, I had a social media guy, my producer, radio promoter. So it was a lot of money, and made this video in LA. I just literally, I think we might have had the last music video filmed in LA at that time. And I freaked out. The pandemic hit. I was like, oh my God, we can't release them. And oh my God. And so I delayed for maybe 2 weeks. And my team was like, well, this could be good because, everything is shut down now. Other releases that are coming out with people with way bigger budgets than yours, they can go on television. They'll be all over the airways, and now everyone is on a level playing field because all we got is social media. And I was like, oh, okay, well, so since you put it that way, so I calmed myself down, I prayed, and, we pushed the launch date to April 1st, which is, as you know, we were in shutdown mode. So we did that. And what I started doing was, and this was really to promote the EP, which I released the full EP in June. I started doing these web shows in my sun parlor. And it was called Meet Me in My Parlor. And I really just started doing that as a way to promote my music coming out, because I'm like, okay, nobody can be on TV, fine, we're all here. We're all in the same space. And I wasn't the only artist freaking out. I know a lot of people pulled back their releases. So, and then since we were all shut in, nobody could go anywhere. Nobody could do anything. No new TV shows were coming out. So everybody was on the internet, looking for stuff. So my first show on the web, it had over 1,000 views, like bam, because it was nothing else on.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And, so I just, actually I had planned to stop doing it and I didn't. I just kept doing it. I took a pause in August, and then I just came back doing the show. So long story short, the album ended up making the 100 top 100 smooth jazz album chart. And the single, my single release, the second single went to number 2 on the UK soul list. And then, nice. And then both the album, the singles, they were being played, all over the country, coast to coast. And the promoter was like, oh, wow, I'm surprised this is like doing great. It's like, wow, better than I expected. Because, singers that sing smooth jazz, we don't typically get as much play as the instrumental. Right. But so it's been good. So I think the initial push from my team helped me, to get over that fear. And then after that, I started thinking about, okay, let me just do everything I can to position myself so that when we come out of this, I want to be in a better position than I was before we started.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, I was right there watching, and I too was a little bit on the Chicken Little bus, like, are we sure we want to do this? But I'm really grateful that
right. And Kenya was also on my team. That's right, Kenya.
Yeah.
Kenya, let me just throw that in, Kenya. So Kenya is my entertainment coach, and she's really, and I will say, and this is on the first interview I did with you guys. Kenya, when I made a decision to take my career to the next level, I decided to invest in a coach because I didn't know what I was doing, so that has been very fruitful for me. So, and when we still continue to work together.
Yes. And honestly, I too was a bit like, I don't know if this is the best, decision to launch this right now. But this is, I think you're speaking life into the importance of teamwork. Yep. Because, and I hope, listeners really pay attention to, and I know it was a pretty penny investment. I mean, Tracye has invested a lot of financial resources, and time and sweat and all of this, but that team, you have multiple people from different perspectives who knew what they could do, even in light of this, so having a publicist, having radio promoters, those jobs can still keep moving. because the internet, all that, is still moving. So I think it's really, really important. What would you say, I think it's, we always like to talk about what were some of the barriers. Now, the obvious barrier is COVID. It's the whale, swimming around.
Yeah.
But what are maybe some of the not so obvious challenges or barriers that you faced in doing this?
For me, and I think everyone is experiencing this, is somewhat of the isolation of COVID, and you're doing all this stuff. You're like, oh, I just want to go out. Oh, I wish I could perform. I miss so much performing live. I miss having an actual audience connection. I miss my band, I think to me, and then I'm grateful, so grateful I have a job, because it could be so much worse. But I think the emotional part of missing the connection, with your fans, with your audience, with the people that your band, so, Kenya is a very special connection with the band. Yeah. And I explored different things like going into a studio, just us, and streaming or doing little, and ultimately, I just did not want to take a chance, so I did not do that. And my music director was like, yeah, no. I'm not even thinking about that. Yeah. Nope.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
So I had a thought for a second, and recently it was funny. One of my band members, he wanted to, there are all these services popping up where you can go and take your band in the studio and it'll stream live and it's just you. And he wanted to put something together. And I said, well, I don't know. Let me think about it. I knew Pat was out already. We didn't even need to ask him. And then the drummer said, my family has forbade me to do anything of such. So I think that isolation and not having the connection for me has been the most difficult.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this has been a really challenging time, but it's also, like I said, been a fruitful time. We've all, those who really chose to focus and try to do a lot of different things. Like for me, I just decided to really learn a couple new things and what I'm doing in my production, and then some other outside things. Like I told you, I do trading, so I've beefed up my
Will
game.
is the man of all things. I thought, Tracye, you think that you and I do all. No, I think Will may beat us, and that's hard.
That is hard.
I'm all over the map. I don't even know. I'm totally all over the map, but I think, and that goes to one of my other music tips. I think one of the days when I said that once you start learning new things about what your craft is, or once you get to a point, somewhat of mastery, once you got that 10,000 hours on your craft, what it does is actually gives you perspective on a whole bunch of other things, because you start to relate them to other things. So I can basically see music in everything, and I can connect it. So that's sort of what it is. But I was going to say, so after you've done your setup for your project, and you've done all these things, what's been the major success during this time? So looking back, it's a year now, pretty much. What has been, do it like a postmortem of what this whole year was. What's been the biggest success for you?
Two things. I think, well, obviously the success of the release, that was huge, and it was very affirming. Having the investment was definitely worth it. I got very good reviews in a lot of jazz publications and so forth.
Awesome.
Just the music play, the radio play, seeing my stuff on smooth jazz stations coast to coast, and they played it on Heart and Soul.
Wow.
Sirius XM, Pandora made the adult R&B playlist. Wow. I'm like, all of that was pretty awesome. And then I just kind of because I have a label, I'm my only client, and I run the business of my music as well. One of the good thing too is I finally made the shift of really focusing on the business of my craft, because even though I've been doing that some, but not enough where I can quit my job. And so making those investments that would allow me to really start generating revenue to an extent where I can do that. So that's been a good shift, and I'm making moves in that way. I've been taking piano lessons, and so I'm just beginning to start to write music myself, not just lyrics, but literal music. Oh my God. And
Right.
She's a composer. She's becoming a composer.
yeah. So I would say I those are big wins for me. And then just working on myself, I think a huge thing, and I don't know how anyone can avoid this, is self-knowledge. Because in the season, you probably spend more time alone. Well, I do, because I'm not married. I don't have kids. So I've spent a lot of time alone. So the self-discovery, the self-knowledge, and I think the spiritual and emotional things that come out of this period have been wins for me too. And appreciation, gratitude.
There you go.
Yeah.
Gratitude, extreme gratitude.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're segueing right into my hands, because I think, this is a tricky time to navigate. I don't care what you do, whether you feed cats for a living, whether you drive a bus. It doesn't. Everybody is being literally impacted right now, and I do think that we're finally, the stats are coming out a bit more about mental health, a bit more about what how people are handling anxiety, anxiety, depression, even suicidal things are all on a high rise. Yeah. And so I think our podcast this season, I think we're going to have to keep pushing even more into that self-discovery piece.
Right.
Because it really, and I'm glad you talked about that, and that, so in that, I don't know, how would you advise or give tips to other artists what does that mean, self-discovery? Because we attempt to talk about spirituality and all of that, but a lot of, some people are not necessarily connected, or they've only been connected in a way that's more religious based, or more go to church based, or this more kind of formal in the lines, being fed. How have you navigated that personal development piece while still doing all of this?
I think a few things. One, exploring spiritual practices more. So, for example, meditation is one. You actually hosted a spiritual retreat, which I enjoyed very much. Yeah. And to do that online. And I told people in my day job about that. They were like, "Oh my God." I was like, about that. So I think those things. I have books in my office, and of all kinds of things that I have not read, one is like Trusting Your Vibes, and just, all kinds of books. And so taking the time to read that kind of stuff. I think writing, journaling, again, prayer, gratitude, appreciation. And instead of focusing on the negative, I think focusing on the positive, because no matter what the scenario, somebody wishes they were in your shoes. Yep. And so what are the things that you're grateful about? So I think a lot starts with gratitude. And then I think as you begin down that road, and then you start focusing on how can I use this time to be better? How can I use this time to grow? What are those things that you never had time to do that you can do now? So that, because I think the sad part would be if you got stuck in a house for almost 2 years, you couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
other thing is I've appreciated my family more. And so I mean we get to spend time. I think people have their COVID bubble or whatever. So spending time with your COVID bubble with family and things like that. I think all of that contributes to it, but mostly shifting your focus to gratitude, things you have that are good, and then how can I use my time to make things better.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things that you can do, to
Yeah.
develop yourself and personal development.
Mhm.
We've mentioned them on the podcast. That either taking lessons or developing a skill, a new
Oh, and
skill.
another thing I want to say too is self-care.
Right.
Like self-care. Do you like bubble baths?
Hmm.
Like one of my find that thing that you like, things you could do for you. Like I like taking a long bubble bath with a whole bunch of smell goods, and then I put a laptop in there with Netflix, and I'm like in the tub for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
One of the things,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So I mean,
listen.
yeah,
That's
there
my
are
new
things.
ritual is I have my nightly bath, and now I don't even feel I feel off if I don't. I mean, I don't do it 7 nights a week, but it's a good five
Right.
nights.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I
So
bought
yeah.
this lavender soap that one of my uncle had at his well, not my cousin, but he technically could be my uncle. But this is yeah, whatever.
It's complicated.
He had this awesome smelling lavender soap. And it's expensive, but I said, shoot, I mean, it's this the pandemic.
It's the pandemic.
If I can't buy this thing right now and enjoy it, when I'm
Yes.
taking my shower, and just have
Yes.
that aromatherapy thing going on. Shoot,
Yes. I'm glad you
Yeah.
said that. And that was another point that I find interesting is that we deny
there
ourselves
you go.
nice things. Like I don't care if it's a fluffy bath towel. Why can't you have a fluffy bath towel? Why you only gotta have it if you go to a hotel? Why can't you have a nice smelling lavender soap? Why
Right.
not? You
Why
know,
not?
why
Right.
not? So the little things we can treat ourselves to, I think, are nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so now we're hopefully coming out of this pandemic situation. We got love on the new management. What did Mickey Howard say?
Oh my gosh.
We got
I saw the funniest meme regarding like what all that Biden has done in his week.
Oh, really?
We'll
You
It,
gotta
we'll
send that to
we'll
me.
we'll keep it on the music tip because we don't want to
I know. It
go
was
down
funny
certain
though.
roads.
It was
But
funny.
I know. But you can share it offline. But but now that we're under new management and the COVID thing is hopefully going to be turning a corner,
Mhm.
and y'all might be performing live soon. Vaccine wise and everything. So what is the strategic plan that you're putting in place right now?
Okay, so glad you asked, Will. So, so my plan is, so I want you all to check out my new website, TracyeEileen.com. I didn't tell you about this, Kenya, but it looks amazing. Mention it to you. But anyway, so beefing that up so that and driving people to the site for music, merchandise, news, that kind of thing. I'm releasing the third single from my EP March 1st for radio ads, so we're excited about that. And then I'm going to also start doing email marketing campaign to bookers around the for jazz festivals and venues, reintroducing myself again and trying to get on their minds for booking, to start trying to put together a tour for late 2021 or 2022. And try to capitalize and ride out on this last single, and trying to continue to keep that buzz and top of mindness there. I'm also kind of honed in my focus. I was kind of all over the place with social media. So now I'm pretty much focused where my audience is, which is Facebook for Smooth Jazz, my YouTube channel. And I have tons and tons of content because I focus so much on the artist part. So now I'm focused on monetizing that. So my video just hit 10,000 views. So
All
I'm
right.
excited.
Awesome.
And of course, they changed the rules of YouTube again. So whatever. But for advertising. But things are going in the right direction. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that once we get out and things start going back to normal, that I can hit the ground running. I'm really the goal is to have a flow as far as monetization of my content, so that the business side starts really flowing and being positioned to tour. Once things start opening up again.
Awesome.
Awesome. So I want people to understand Tracye released, she said, her first single from her EP April 1st, 2020. And mind you, it's an EP. So that means it's only 4 songs? It's five
Mm-hmm.
songs. And here we are 10 months, later, and she's still releasing content from an EP. And so this is, you guys know me, the strategy of releasing slowly, especially as an independent artist. It is taking you almost a year to really fully, it's going to be about a year once everything is fully. And I know that a lot of independent artists are not doing this. They're trying to get everything out in a hurry. But you have been, really, I just want to give you kudos for being patient and allowing the process and allowing the music to show itself and breathe. And the cool thing is you have timeless music. If you guys, when you guys listen to Tracye's project, it's timeless. It's something you'll be able to play this year, 10 years from now. It's that kind of music. And so I just want to really put a pin in that, so that people recognize that process, and there's a lot of trial and error. Like you and I have, Tracye will come to me because, like we said, we do coaching, and she'll kind of say, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and this. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's see. And then she kind of, figure out, okay, well, that didn't work, this did work. So it's okay to take your time in this process, and I think that time factor is important. I'd love for you, one of the things we've also been pushing is multiple streams. And it sounds like, you're kind of laying out these different, things that you're planning in terms of touring, and that's more related directly to music. But you're doing some other stuff.
I am.
That's just kind of branding Tracye. Yeah. So can you tell us about that and why you decided to do that?
Yeah. And one thing I want to mention when you were talking about releasing slowly, the other great advice you gave me was that I felt like I had to record again something else. And you're like, yeah, no. So that was wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. I can't even say. All right. So now the other thing.
Well, because for you financially, I want people, that doesn't mean don't create. Because I think sometimes people think that, then I'm just not. It's like, no, you can create all day. You can write. You can, do your little demos. You can do scratches all day. But getting in the studio, paying for the team, paying for this.
Ooh, child. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I was so happy to hear that. So,
especially as jazz artists, but because it's a lot. We've got live instrumentation and things like that. But anyway, keep going.
So the other thing is I'll be turning 60 this year. So I turned 59 in October.
Y'all, look at Tracye. She don't, come on now. There's no part of Tracye. Those of you who are just listening, again, reason number 78 to come to our YouTube channel is to come see that Tracye looks nowhere near the age of 60. But keep going. Yes.
Oh, thank you. So, one of the things that I think in setting and establishing a brand, each single had its own copy and this, that, and the other. One of the things I explored during this pandemic was, hey, maybe I'll be an influencer, until I found out, that's a whole nother thing to do that. So I'm like, but what came out of that was a concept called redefining 60. Because I noticed that in my career, I did my first professional show at 50 years old. in Hollywood Casino, because I made the decision to pursue my dream at 49 after getting divorced, So I noticed that a lot of people think it's over with at 50, and it's not. It's just like you're just kind of getting started,
Yeah.
And there's so many things that I've noticed in my peers. And people, they're with women. My focus is women, around how they think about themselves in the world differently at 50. And so I want to redefine what that means, not just in how you look, but how you feel and how you think and what you do. And how the vibrancy can it's like a reset button, in my opinion. And I think when you do those things, I think we're all going to get older with technology and medicine. It's not how long you live. It's going to be the quality of your life.
Exactly.
And are you leaving anything on the table? I want everything to be burned up, nothing left. No regrets. And, and I think when you get to 50, you finally have a chance to really, you're mature enough, you're getting around that age to really start setting those things in motion. So that's the brand that I'm going to be working with, and both in terms of content that I'll be putting out around that, maybe a podcast, definitely branded materials, and just sharing information. Another thing I noticed is that people don't share a lot of times about content like that. And so that's my brand. That the other thing that I'll be doing, and then also looking at mature modeling is another thing that I've looked at. So it's my music, the merchandising, redefining 60, and mature modeling, which I think is kind of all connected.
They're all connected.
It's all
Absolutely.
totally connected. I would just say, just from a business perspective, it might be a good idea to even get some sponsorship from organizations like the AARP. So
it's funny you should say that. They actually have a new campaign that Black women have put together, so they're getting a little more fresh with things. And people, once you get 50, that's when you get your first AARP notice. Right. You'd be like, yeah, what? Why are they sending me this? Excuse me? But
well, there's some good perks. I mean, I was checking out my parents' memberships. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That's the one thing I am looking forward to.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. How your perception on it can be a whole nother thing.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, this has been fantastic, and I'm so glad we were able to bring you back, and I hope that the audience, listeners, you got some inspiration, because I think Tracye has really laid out many ways that you can still be developing yourself and promoting yourself and your music, even through all of this. So thank you. I will make sure, I want you to share, just do a shout out with your social media handles and your website again, because you guys gotta make sure you, listen and follow and like. She does, these weekly shows online for free, although we push in donations, go to the Cash App, but, but technically you could, just hop on, and she's religious about it. You're really good about it. So share with them how they can stay in touch with you.
Yes. If you could please go to, the easiest thing is TracyeEileen.com. And a sign-up page is cool as smoke. Wait till you see it, Kenya. It's gonna pop up.
I can't wait.
Yes. And please follow me at Tracye Eileen on Facebook. And we do live shows, as Kenya said, 30-minute show every Friday at 7. And on Instagram, I'm Tracye_Eileen. But again, I'm really gonna start more of a focus. One of the things I did also, Kenya, I took a class on Instagram, social media, ad targeting. So just trying to get my business game up, in the research. Most of my audience is really on Facebook, like 99-1 or something ridiculous like that. So Tracye Eileen on Facebook, TracyeEileen.com. Please, if you hear something, there's a lot of music on there, download it. I appreciate it so much. And come on the journey with me.
Absolutely. And Tracye, she has a different spelling. It's Tracye with a Y-E. So it's Tracye.
Yes.
Eileen, EILEEN.com. And that again will be in the show notes. But just those of you who are
driving. Great stuff on YouTube.
Yes. I want to make sure people know she has a unique spelling. So awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Kenya.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. All right, Will. Another great one. Another great one. We don't do anything less than.
Now you know.
Go be great. Always. So. All right. We will see you guys next week. Make sure you still, comment, subscribe, share. And make sure you're also tuning in on dcradio.org. Am I right saying org or gov? Is it .gov? Am I saying it wrong?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well,
it'll be in the show notes.
I think it's dcradio.gov.
I think so.
Yeah. And we it's like Christmas. We get alerted each week. Oh, these are the shows that are going to be aired. Right. So it's not aired in live time. But all of our episodes are syndicated, so we're played daily, 4 p.m. Eastern time on dcradio.gov. So if you missed one or you want to hear it on that platform, please go tune in.
All right.
Right.
Awesome.
You guys be good. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Please subscribe to our podcast on your podcast player and leave us a rating and review. Also, please leave us a comment on our Facebook or Instagram page. And if you would like to contact us about a specific topic, you can email us at 3mbpodcast@gmail.com.